It was August of 2015, and Alex Stanhope, the youngest CEO ever of Stanhope Technologies, a high-security firm that develops new technology for the US military, was just about to marry his long-term girlfriend, Alyssa Jackson. Alyssa was an aspiring young fashion designer who had met Alex 8 years ago in an annual function for a local Missouri children's charity. The wedding on the 20th of August was a stunningly beautiful affair, held in the grounds of Stanhope's $3 million Cahokia mansion, overlooking the sandy cove below. The 30-year-old bride looked stunning in a strapless gown. The champagne flowed, and the dancing continued deep into the early hours of the morning. The following afternoon, their driver took them to the hangar where the family jet was stored, ready for them to fly off on their honeymoon to Morocco. The plane gently touched down as the burning sun set on the horizon, casting a bronze shadow as far as the eye could see. As they disembarked the Lear, they walked hand in hand to a black limousine and set off to the 5-star Golden Tulip Hotel in Fararabad, where they were to stay for the next 2 weeks. Over the next few days, after relaxing by the pool, the couple decided to explore and found themselves looking around the markets and souks of the town. Amongst the myriad of brightly colored stalls and the ever-extravagant stallholders, something caught the eye of Alyssa, and she was entranced. What caught her gaze was a thing of such beauty that she had never experienced before. It seemed to take a hold of her and wouldn't let her go. The thing in question was a bejeweled skull. It looked like an ancient human skull, small enough to possibly have been that of a child. She felt mysteriously drawn to it and couldn't resist taking it home with them. Alex, in the meanwhile, found himself hypnotized by an ancient tribal shield with its vibrant reds and yellow emblazoned across it, and multiple feathers from various animals fixated around the edges. The 2 weeks flew by, and soon they were back in Cahokia, ready to start their new life together as a normal married couple. Things, however, didn't exactly work out as they planned. The skull and shield had pride of place on display in the living room. Now they were home, and the skull seemed to relax its hold on Alyssa, just as the shield did with Alex. After a while, Alyssa started to feel more uncomfortable whilst at home. She felt as though the red rubies, which were in the eye sockets of the skull, were somehow watching her. As the weeks passed by, she began to hear what she thought were faint chants coming from any room but the one she occupied. She became more and more unsettled when small incidents started to occur, such as electricity blowing fuses and appliances turning themselves on and off. The longer the items were in the house, the weirder things became. She confronted Alex, saying she wanted them gone. He agreed to get rid of the shield and the skull. The shield was sold at an auction for a minimal amount, but the skull proved more difficult to dispose of. For the few weeks that followed, things returned to normal, making the Stanhopes believe the shield was the source of the problems. As they settled back into the life they had before, Alyssa relaxed. This proved to be a big mistake. One evening, whilst in the shower, she heard the door slam. "Alex, is that you?" she shouted, but there was no reply. That's strange, she thought, and grabbing a towel she left in the bathroom, only to discover no one was there. She looked over at the table where the skull sat. It looked as though it was smiling at her. She gave a shiver and returned to the bedroom to dress. As she came back into the sitting area, she noticed the TV was on, but couldn't remember switching it on herself. She couldn't help but be freaked out by the skull, as she now had the feeling that all the previous incidents were down to it, and not the shield as she first thought. She pulled herself out of the black leather recliner chair and went to move the thing, but she struggled to. It felt as though it was part of the table. As Alex arrived home, she explained everything and asked him to remove the skull, eyes shining bright red at this point, and dispose of it. He attempted to remove it, but it wouldn't budge. "It won't move," he said to her. I don't understand it. Why won't it move?" "It did the same to me. I thought it was strange, so I just tried to ignore it," Alyssa replied. With that, they decided to retire to bed and deal with it the following morning. As the sun rose in the morning, Alex turned to Alyssa and noticed she was dripping in sweat. Her pillow stained and the sheet was almost transparent. "Are you okay, baby?" he asked. "I don't know. I think I should see a doctor," she replied. Half an hour later, there was a knock at the door. "She's for you, doctor," Alex said as he escorted Dr. Phillips through to the bedroom. "I think an ambulance is in order," exclaimed Dr. Phillips. "Urgently," he added. "What's wrong with her?" Alex panicked. "I'm not sure. I've never seen anything like it before," said the doctor. As Alyssa was loaded into the ambulance, one of the paramedics noticed that she was breaking out in large blisters on the hands and arms. "We need to go now," he shouted to the driver. With that, they sped off with sirens blaring. At the hospital, Alyssa was isolated and encased in an oxygen tent due to the unknown cause and identity of what she had contracted. She was to remain like this for 6 weeks before transferring to a private room. Alex visited her every day, but still had his business to run, and Frankie, the Rottweiler, to care for. 3 weeks into Alyssa's stay in the hospital, Alex returned home from visiting her. 3 weeks into Alyssa's stay in hospital, Alex returned home from visiting her, only to find small pools of blood coagulating on the white-tiled kitchen floor. He apprehensively made his way through the house, following the small puddles, only to be faced with the most saddening sight he had seen for a long time. There, on the kitchen floor, laid Frankie, blood running from his open mouth and out of his nose. Alex could sense he was about to leave him and was glad he was there to comfort him as he passed. As he laid with his head on Alex's knee, Frankie's eyes closed and he was gone. Alex couldn't understand why, as he had been a happy, healthy dog who had regular veterinary checkups. The vet had visited only 2 days ago. No one could explain the things that were happening right now. The only thing that Alex knew was he needed to get to the bottom of this, so he called in a specialist in African artifacts. Dr. Constance Cooper arrived at 10 in the following morning to appraise the skull and explain its horrific origins. It turns out that the skull dates back almost 500 years and is that of a child. The eyes were genuine rubies, and legend has it that it carries with it an ancient curse that bestows tragedy upon the owners for the entirety of their lives, or until it is either passed on or disposed of. With this in mind, Alex decides to destroy the damned thing. He wanted to smash the thing to pieces, and so went to the garage and grabbed a sledgehammer, returned to the living room, and with one powerful swing put the hammer straight through the skull and the glass table it sat on. Several days later, Alyssa was seen to be making a considerably rapid recovery, and everything in her life was slowly returning to normal.